My name is Nina, and welcome to Lesson 3 of Design Your First Sweater class. We are going to be talking today about adding shaping to the torso of the sweater in the simplest terms possible. And as you can see, I have already knit half of the torso of my sweater. It's all bunched up on the circular needle. My waist isn't really that small, but I was very good and I stopped before finishing so that I can actually explain to you what I'm doing. So today, I'm going to walk you through the calculations that are necessary in order to shape the torso to your specific body. And all of this is also in the PDF download that's attached to this lesson. So what I'm going to do right now is go through the worksheet with you so that you understand all of the math that goes into this. All you will need for this section is your schematic. I have the original here, and you can see how well I take care of my paperwork. This was found in lesson 1. You'll need a 4-function calculator or better. All you are really going to need to do is multiplication, addition, subtraction, and division. And the measurements, which you took either off of your favorite sweater or off of your body. I have the measurements, which I took off of my favorite sweater right here. For this lesson, we're only going to need the first 5, A, B, C, D, and E, and the rest of them can wait. So either take those measurements now, if you haven't already, and let's get started. The first thing that we're going to need to do is take these measurements, A, B, and C, and multiply them by 2. So I have 34 for my A number, 29 comes from my B, and 32 comes from my C. Now you're going to subtract 2B from 2A and from 2C, and this is going to tell you how many inches you need to decrease from your hem to your waist, and then how many inches you need to increase from your waist to your chest measurement. So if I work those subtractions, I have 5 inches to decrease from hem to waist, and I have 3 inches to increase from waist to the armpit. Are y'all still with me? Now, what we're going to do is convert these numbers, these 5 inches and 3 inches, or whatever number of inches you got, into the number of stitches that represents. So you're going to refer to your gauge, which you calculated in the first lesson, which we've been calling S. My S number was 4.75. That's the number of stitches per inch. So first, I'm going to multiply my first number, 5 inches, by 4.75 stitches, and I get 23.75 stitches to decrease. Now, I can't actually do 23.75 stitches. It, first of all, has to be a whole number of stitches, and second of all, has to be divisible by 4. So the closest number to 23.75 that divides by 4 is 24. And you can test the closest numbers on your calculator. Just hit divide by 4, and as long as you get a whole number there, you're fine. So I'm going to decrease 24 stitches. Now I do the same thing to find out how many I increase. I take my second number of inches, in this case it was 3. I multiply by my S number, 4.75, and I get 14.25. And again, I need this to be a whole number that's divisible by 4. The question is, since this is a little bit between numbers, do I want it to be a little bit on the snug side or a little bit on the loose side? It won't really matter because it's really a matter of like 2 stitches. So I'm going to round up to have a little bit more ease to 16. That's the closest to 14.25 that divides evenly by 4. Are you still with me? We've got just a little bit of math left to go, but it's nothing harder than what we've done already. The reason that these numbers, as I said, have to be divisible by 4 is because every decrease round that we work is going to take out 4 stitches at once, and every increase round that we work is going to add 4 stitches at once. So since we want to work a whole number of rounds, we have to work a multiple of 4 stitches in or out of our shaping. In order to find the number of decrease rounds, we're going to divide these numbers that we just found, in my case 24 and 16, by 4. 4 stitches per round. I want 24 stitches in total, so I'm going to need to work 6 decrease rounds. And again, 4 stitches per round versus 16 inches in total means I need to work 4 increase rounds. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at some of our vertical measurements. The measurements we just dealt with were A, B, and C, which are horizontal measurements around the torso. Now we're going to look at the vertical measurements, which are the lengths in the sweater. The first one we're going to look at is D. This is the length from the cast-on edge to the waist, which is the narrowest part of the sweater. However, we've all already knit some of our hem, which subtracts some length from D. So look at your D number. Mine was 8 inches. Take away the amount of hem that you knit. In my case, it was 4 inches, and put the remainder right in here. And in my case, that will be 8 minus 4, or 4 inches. Now, what we want to know is how many rows it's going to take to make up that length. So you'll take that number and multiply by R, which you also calculated in the first lesson. My R is 6.875. Such an ugly number, but I'm going to leave it because I'm a tolerant person. And if I multiply that by 4, 4 times 6.875, I get 27.5. Again, I need this number to divide by something. In this case, it has to divide by the number labeled 1. That's the number of decrease rounds between the hem and the waist, which you calculated on the first page. My 1 is 6. So 27.5, I'm going to round up to 30. I'm very tall, so I want a few extra rows if possible to make up for that. If you're very short, then you might want to round down. That's totally fine. But it really is, in this case, you can see it's only a matter of 2 or 3 rows, so it's not going to change the length that much. It's not terribly important that you round up or down, as long as this number is divisible by 1. So we're going to work the shaping like this. You'll work a decrease round, and then you'll work a certain number of plain rounds. Just knit every stitch. Then you'll repeat that process this many times. Since I need to work 6 decrease rounds, I'll repeat it 6 times. So we divide this number of rounds, 30, by the number of decrease rounds we need on the previous page, which is labeled 1. And I'll get 5, which means including my decrease round, I need to work 5 rounds in each of those little chunks 6 times. So that means I'll work a decrease round, and then I will work 4 planed rounds, which will make 5. And you can fill that in right here. Now, let's take a little bit of a break from the math, and I'll show you how this panned out in my sweater when we come back.